Mount Kenya, Kilimanjaro. I don't know. I have no idea. Guys who are following us virtually, why don't you also post your answers on the chat? Someone is definitely following on that. So just post your answers. Tell us what you think. All right. 53 responses. Alps. Someone said Alps. I think that's the new one. Mount Kenya. Who said so? Who is that? Whoever wrote that should be leaving and going home right now. Mount Longonot. So let me take a quick poll inside here. How many people think... All right, our dignitaries are here. Karibuni sana. You should be logging in and tell us which mountain was the highest. All right, so let me take a quick poll. How many people think it's Mount Kilimanjaro? Just raise up your hand quickly. 3, 2, 1, even whoever posted it. I see. I thought so too. I thought so. How many people think it's Mount Kenya? How many people think? Okay. How many people think it's Mount Longonot? I see a few answers. Mount Longonot? Even the person who sent it is not too sure. How many people have no idea? Okay, I see a number. And how many people think it's Mount Sinai? All right, and how many people think it's Mount Everest? Yeah, ideally, just because it was never discovered by that time doesn't mean it was not existing. It was existing. It's only that someone had not given it a name. All right, thank you so much. Why don't you clap for yourselves? You guys have done fantastic. So in a nutshell, what I have done is I have prepared us for what we will do towards the end of this event today. So we will have a few questions just to get a feel of how the event was and what's next. We are going to use the same platform to be able to get pretty much what your feedback is. Is that okay? So what I can tell you is please save your bundles. If you need to, go offline right now so that when we come back to you, then we'll get to use the same model, the same approach to get your feel of the event. Is that okay? Is that okay? All right, so I want to give us a few housekeeping rules. First of all, the first one is please let's have our phones on silent. If possible, let's switch them off. I know that's not possible. Then let's have them on silent, not vibrate. The essence of that is so that we do not get to distract people. Is that okay? Asanteni sana. Then the second one is that our washrooms are right just outside this entrance. There's the left and the right. The left is for the ladies, the right is for the gents. If you'd like to use the washrooms, that's where we are at. We have a pretty packed day. So I know we started a bit late, rather a few minutes late, close to 1 hour. So what I will ask is that let's try and keep time as much as we can. So if you're one of the people who are either presenting or part of the panel discussion, if you can keep to the allocated time, that would be lovely. If we can save time, even better, all right? And the last and most important is please let's network. Let's talk to each other. Don't sit with the people you came with, okay? Don't sit with people you know. Try and get to know the other person, what they do, how you can benefit from their business, and how they can benefit from your business. You never know. Probably the next unicorn will probably come from this conversation. Today, how many people are excited about today? Gosh. How many people are excited about today? Now let me hear it with a bit of voice. How many people are excited about today? Say yeah. Yeah. Excited about today? Say yeah. Yes. This side say yeah. Yeah, that's better. All right, so at this juncture, allow me to invite for our opening remarks the National Board Chairman for KENAF, that is Professor Kaburu. Professor Kaburu, karibu sana, karibu sana. Let's give him a round of applause as he makes his way on stage. Come on, let's give him a better round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Muko sawa? Muonekane kama muko sawa. Muko sawa? Great. I want to welcome you here. Hapa kwa Kenaf. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed partners, stakeholders, and distinguished guests, welcome to Kenaf. Today I'm here before you as the chairman of Kenaf with a profound sense of pleasure and honor. It is indeed a privilege to address this esteemed gathering as the launch of the Inclusive Business Club in Kenya. As we assemble, we unite with a common purpose, one that resonates deeply with our commitment to fostering an inclusive and sustainable agribusiness landscape that holds the potential to uplift our nation and its citizens. In this significant moment, we are called to reflect upon the immense potential that lies within the agriculture sector. Ladies and gentlemen, our nation's agricultural prowess has historically been a cornerstone of its development, and today, as we embark on this transforming journey, we are reminded of the critical role that agribusiness plays in shaping our economy. At the heart of our mandate lies the unwavering dedication to represent, articulate, and champion the interests of the approximately 1.6 million farm families that form the backbone of the economy of our nation, the agricultural sector. These hard-working individuals who tirelessly toil to provide sustenance for our tables deserve not only our respect but also our active support in creating an environment where they can thrive. Within this context, Kenaf proudly assumes the role of being the voice of those whose dedication sustains our nation's prosperity. The labor and contributions of our farmers often go unnoticed. And yet, it is they who cultivate the crops and keep the livestock that nourish us and fuel our economy. So, ladies and gentlemen, today as we gather, we align ourselves with the visionary mission of the two-scale program, a program that has been strategically crafted to incubate and expedite the development of inclusive business within the African agri-food system, which with a particular focus on our own country, Kenya. Collaborative partnerships have the power to shape destinies, and Kenya firmly believes in the potential of synergy. It is within collaborations such as the one we are celebrating today that we find the roadmap to unlock the true potential of our agricultural sector. The sixth pillar of our strategic plan unequivocally underscores our commitment to harnessing the latent potential of women and youth. It is not merely a nod to inclusivity. Rather, it is a pivotal recognition of their influence in driving the growth of innovation of our sector. Recognizing the essential role that women and youth play in agribusiness, we acknowledge that their involvement isn't just beneficial, it is vital. By creating pathways for their active participation, employment, and the generation of wealth, we are sowing the seeds of a prosperous and sustainable future for generations to come. With inclusivity as our guiding principle, KENAV wholeheartedly endorses and supports the establishment of the Inclusive Business Club. This platform, which brings together stakeholders from diverse sectors, ranging from government and private enterprises to NGOs, educational institutions, and the dynamic forces of youth and women, holds the promise of fostering holistic growth and development within our business landscape. The inception of the Inclusive Business Club seamlessly aligns with our work of collaboration, knowledge sharing, and advocacy for those who propel our agricultural value chains forward. This collective endeavor marks a significant stride towards realizing our vision of our thriving, interconnected, and equitable agricultural sector. As we navigate the path ahead, let us remain resolute in our pursuit of inclusive agribusiness. Our journey toward an equitable future is not devoid of challenges, but it is paved with opportunities to enact positive change. The evolving landscape of agribusiness demands our proactive engagement, thoughtful innovation, and steadfast dedication. We must remain agile and adaptable, responding to the changing needs of our nation's agricultural sector with purpose and conviction. Our charge extends beyond empowerment. It encompasses celebration. Let us collectively celebrate the remarkable contributions of smallholder farmers, women, and youth. Their resilience, determination, and creativity are the driving forces behind the growth of our agricultural sector. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let us unite in forging a future where our agricultural landscape flourishes, where our nation prospers, and where the inclusive spirit that animates this gathering today continues to guide our endeavors. Thank you very much. You are all welcome to KENAV. This is our headquarters. Have it the way you like it, the way you enjoy it, and let us celebrate farmers. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Asante sana. Let's give him a better round of applause. Thank you very much. I think we wanted it a bit warmer. I don't know whether you could do something about that. Bwana Chairman, if you could just turn on the heat so that this whole area is warm. All right, just kidding. All right, so I'd like to invite Mr. Patrick Borrow from TwoScale, who will give us the lessons from TwoScale's inclusive agribusiness approach, and he will take us through that. Let's give him a round of applause. Come on, let's give him a better round of applause. Yeah, that's better.
Good morning, everybody. Am I visible from here? Or there's some distraction here? I'm visible, eh? Thank you very much. So my name is Patrick Foro, as has been mentioned. I'm the country team leader for TwoScale in Kenya. And I'm here to also welcome all of you to this event, the launch of the Inclusive Business Club. It's a journey that we've had with KENAF, planning and deliberating on this. And at the end of this day, we hope that we'll be able to bring more of the actors in this room to understand what this Inclusive Business Club is and to be champions of the same. So as we leave this day, as we go home, that we'll have more champions rallying behind the agenda of inclusivity. I will talk briefly about Two-Scale and what we do. So Two-Scale is a Dutch-funded program that is implemented by Base of Pyramid Innovation Center, IFDC, and SNV as 3 members of a consortium with the objective of contributing to food and nutrition security, a sustainable and an inclusive economic growth and stability in Africa. And this is done through public-private partnerships, incubating and accelerating inclusive business models in the agriculture sector. So we have goals, and one of the goals is to reach 1.5 million consumers, base of pyramid consumers, with nutritious, affordable food. And the next goal is to improve livelihoods of 1 million smallholder farmers, 50% women and 40% youth, and production on 700,000 hectares, eco-efficient production. We have a target of working with 5,000 micro, small, and medium enterprises, producer organizations, 50% of them women, and creating jobs to the tune of 20,000. We have 60 public-private partnerships across the program that drive the work that we do. What is our approach like? If you can see, a very simple approach. We work with producer organizations. We develop agribusiness clusters and value chains. And we work with MSMEs that do production of affordable, nutritious products that go to the base of pyramid consumers. So in a nutshell, this is our approach, that we work across the value chain, the 3 sections that are highlighted. And below there are what we call terms of inclusion and access to nutritious food. These are some of the key pillars of Two-Scale, and I will be talking about them later, because these are the reason that we are here today to talk about inclusivity. When we talk about inclusivity, we are looking at terms of inclusion and access to nutritious food, in addition to many other things that we do. So how does Two-Scale work? I mentioned we work with 60 businesses across the program. The program is in 9 African countries in East and West Africa. And we work with what we call inclusive business champions. So they are either private sector, processors, aggregators, producer organization, cooperative unions, and they drive the PPP arrangement, driving the market as a buyer or the market, and finally to linking us with the markets and the base of pyramid consumers. We work with agribusiness clusters, and these agribusiness clusters include service providers, input providers, and all that support farmers, production, so the supply chain, service delivery, and all. And we have actors that we call business support service providers that work closely with farmers and the producers. So which are the sectors that we work in? Across the program, we have 4 main sectors. We have proteins and animal products, so you'll find milk, you'll find poultry, you'll find small ruminants and the likes. We have staple crops, maize, rice, sorghum, etc. We have fresh produce, and we have oil seeds. So I mentioned about the two-scale approach, and I want to go to the terms of inclusion. Next slide, please. One more. So I mentioned that the two areas that I want to talk about are the terms of inclusion and access to nutritious food. So if you move to the next slide, we are talking about what are the terms of inclusion? What do we want to foster? What do we want to have being put at the forefront? One is the voice of all actors, the balance of power, the ability to influence key decision making for all actors, dealing with grievances, maybe one from farmers to buyers, or the other way around. The asymmetries of information access. When we deal with the voice, and people have a voice in a value chain, we believe there is much better inclusion. Ownership, we are talking about distribution of resources, such as land, products, processing facilities, etc. How do we share the risk, and how do we respond to risks? This also shows whether there is inclusion. If there's a risk, maybe an external factor, for example, market dynamics, like we know the challenges that have been there in the agriculture sector, the drought, the sourcing situation, imports, cost of imports, cost of inputs for processors and all that. How do actors respond to these risks? And finally, rewards. How do we share rewards across the value chains? Is it that the processors are getting the lion's share and the farmers are getting the crumbs? So if we are able to address these four areas and many others, we believe that there will be better inclusion. And this includes what do we do to farmers and access to finance? What do we do when it comes to youth and women? What do we do when it comes to small businesses that are startups, that are still at an incubation stage? We look at these four factors and try to ensure that we address any bottleneck or any challenge, obstacles that would affect their way of doing business with this framework. And when it comes to availing nutritious food to the mass markets, or what we call base of pyramid consumers, on the next slide, we have 4 A's that are easy to think about, but they require a lot of concerted efforts. So we are talking about this food being available in terms of working on the logistics and the supply chain, especially for the rural consumers. How do we make that food available in the local kiosk, the local mama mboga stand? How do we address all that, and how is that made possible? Is that food affordable? Is the consumer able to buy or to use their money to buy that food compared to alternatives? So we strive to ensure that food is not only available, but it is affordable, and it is appropriate. It has the right quality. We look at food safety issues. We look at nutritious value. We even look at branding. How is it presented? That it is not just presented in a way that makes a buyer feel like, okay, I'm buying this because I don't have the money. So we are looking at proper branding to ensure that it's attractive, and also in terms of prestige and self-esteem for this base of pyramid consumers. And lastly, that the food is acceptable. it fits and integrates with the daily consumption behavior. So those are the terms of inclusion, both for working with actors and working with the base of pyramid. So moving forward, what have we achieved for Kenya? I know I have talked about the wider picture of two-scale globally, but when we look at, I'm picking just a few indicators that are relevant for our discussions today. Working with base of pyramid consumers, we have 300,000 and more base of pyramid consumers who have been able to, who have access to to nutritious food, as I have talked about in the previous slide. We have worked with 90,000 plus smallholder farmers in different value chains. We have worked with 100 SMEs, men, women, youth, SMEs, and there's a difference between SMEs and MSMEs. We have created over 1,500 additional jobs, off-farm jobs. And we have 3,000 plus micro, small, and medium enterprises working with the program in Kenya. And finally, when it comes to value of financial services, we have managed to reach 1 billion Kenya shillings of private sector contribution. I forgot to mention that two-scale is funded on one-to-one matching fund, 50% from the donor, the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and 50% from private sector. We have been able to surpass the 50% private sector contribution through the efforts of some of these partners that are sitting here, and we really congratulate you for helping us realize this goal. When it comes to lessons learned and challenges, one, when it comes to production, for us in Kenya, we know that the challenges of climate change are catching up with us properly. We have seen the stress on production, as the chairman talked about smallholder farmers and the challenges they go through. We know that production is not at par, is not at the best that we could be able to produce due to a number of factors. One of them, the issues of climate change. Land fragmentation is another challenge, and this has put pressure on the cost of production. Of course, the issues of inputs, the Ukraine-Russia situation, post-COVID recovery and all that, has seen the cost of inputs rising and affecting not only farmers, but even processors. And then the issue of supply chain coordination affects how local processors are able to source properly from the local suppliers. We know a number of value chains depend a lot on imports, and this affects also the morale of smallholder farmers in Kenya. And some of them are here, and we'll be talking with them, and they will be talking about the challenges they face when they have products, but the buyers are probably not available, or having that product get to the farmer is a big challenge. We feel that we need a little more work on synergies between projects. We have projects across Kenya doing similar work, and we have these partners seated here today. And at the end of the day, we'll be looking at how can we create synergies so that our interventions are properly coordinated, that we can, layer and sequence what we do and coordinate it so that we don't look to be at cross purpose. I believe you understand what I mean. That if I'm working with a dairy processor in County X, that dairy processor will not shy away from saying, I also have another project with this other organization, and this is what we are doing with them. So if the development actors are able to coordinate, it will be easy to know this dairy processor needs technical support, but they also need capital expenses, or they need capex, and they also need another side of support. So how do we then coordinate this so that it doesn't look like when two-scale comes, the other projects are told, please don't come today because two-scale or because we are busy. But we can meet at the table and say, this is what two-scale is doing, this is what GIZ is doing, this is what TechnoServe is doing. And all of us can speak in one voice and agree we are moving this company from point X to point Y through a joint collaborative effort. That can be done better when we have this idea of an inclusive business club functional. What lessons have we learned that could also inform how we move forward? That private sector has the capacity. We have seen that, as I've mentioned, the contribution from private sector, but they also have the obligation to contribute to development interventions. And this will help us to have greater impact, and that the other thing is that business and inclusivity and profitability are all mutually inclusive. So we are saying, in a nutshell, that you can still do, a business can still do very inclusive work, working with smallholder farmers, coordinating the supply chain, and still be profitable. So it doesn't have to be that mine is just the business angle and I don't care about smallholder farmers, I don't care about sourcing. It is possible to still do inclusive business and make great profits. The second lesson is that grassroots actors play a big role in driving value chains because they have reach to a big resource of smallholder farmers. They're able to mobilize resources, and they are very close to what the challenges are facing, production and aggregation in the supply chain. They are able to help or aid the last mile distribution. They are able to coordinate aggregation and the likes. So they are very important in any value chain, so we do not overlook them or think they are too small. They have a role to play, and it's a big role. The third lesson, we all agree that financing agriculture is a major challenge. Many big investors, banks, and mainstream finance institutions find the agriculture sector very risky. But we believe that here lies many opportunities, and a few things can be done to ensure that financing of agribusiness does not continue looking so risky or something to be avoided. In our discussions today, in the panel discussions that will follow, we'll be hearing about such things and initiatives by actors that you have worked with, and what they have done and what opportunities they see in this area of access to finance. Youth and women inclusion is another sticking point, and it requires a lot of inclusion and co-creation. We need policy interventions, we need system change, and we have to work together to ensure that youth and women are also felt and their impact is felt in the value chains. When you talk about rural-urban migration and the clamor for formal employment, it's a real issue when you go to the rural areas and are looking for youth to be engaged in agribusiness. We'll have a panel discussion that is centered on this later today. We'll hear from the youth who are engaged from our partners and women as well. We have done some interventions in sector change, and we believe that this can be driven through concerted efforts by public and private partnerships. So it's not only government, it's not only private sector, but concerted efforts will help us see systems change happening. We are talking about things like working in the dairy sector, making things work for the feed, animal feed and fodder, for example. We have work going on there, and we'll also hear what is happening even with KNAF's advocacy work. Number 6, base of pyramid customers are more concerned about pricing and probably end up paying more because of the Kadogo economy. This is maybe subject to discussion, but we find that base of pyramid consumers would be more aligned or leaning towards affordability and forgetting about quality, safety, and all that. Open for discussion. Investment in ICT, among other green innovation, has helped accelerate inclusion. We have innovations that we see working very well, including access to finance, products that are riding on technology and that can help us reach even to the lowest levels of the actors in the value chains. And finally, and this is our rallying call, that inclusivity is an agenda for all. So we are here together and we're looking at how can we do this as government, academia, development actors, and private sector. We all have a role to play, and I believe that today's meeting will help us agree, understand, and tease out ways that we can make this inclusive agenda a living agenda, that we will not shelve it, we will be able to think about it, and as we launch this IBC club, that it will be a concerted effort of all who are seated here representing these actors. Finally, I want to appreciate and recognize our actors in Kenya. I mentioned that we have quite a number of partners, and I know they're in this room. We have in the dairy sector, Kieni Dairy, you can just raise your hand. We have Meru Dairy, representatives from Meru. We have Eldoville, I don't know where they are seated, Eldoville. Those are our partners in dairy. In oilseeds, we have Batian Nuts. Yes, they are there represented. Equatorial Nuts processors. We recognize you, Equatorial Nuts. I'm not sure they are. In the fresh produce sector, we have Sweet and Dried. Sweet and Dried is Mercy. We have Foki Cooperative in Kajiado represented. We have in the staple crops, we have Sorghum Tegemeo in the Rakanidi. Thank you guys for seeing your hands there. Shalem Investments, they in the room, Shalem Investments. MRGM, Moya Rice Growers Cooperative, great, thank you for coming. We have Nyabon Enterprises. Nyabon, they are in the room. And all these, among other actors, are present today. And we have booths out there, they're exhibiting what they have, the products they have and what they are doing, among many other actors. I want to say thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to a great event. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
All right, thank you, the country lead for 2Scale. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you. You've really taken us through what 2Scale has been doing for the last 10 years. Last year, we were celebrating the impact that 2Scale has had in the local agriculture, and we are very, very honored to be connected to you. So at this juncture, to give us the lessons from KNAF on lobbying, advocacy, and policy action, allow me to invite the CEO, that is Dr. Mailutha. Let's give him a round of applause. You know he can decide to kick us out of this place. So let's give him a better round of applause. Thank you. Karibu sana, Dr. Mailutha.
Good morning, everyone. KNAF? KNAF? Sauti ya mkulima? Thank you very much. I don't think I can kick anyone out since the national chairman obviously welcomed you all. Let me take this opportunity to welcome everyone to the Kenya National Farmers Federation headquarters. My name is Mwenda Tomailo, I'm the CEO. I don't plan to take a lot of time with this. I'm going to briefly talk about what we do as the National Farmers Federation. KENAF, for those who might not know, obviously I'm sure there are people who are encountering KENAF for the first time, is an apex umbrella farmers organization in this country, or the NFO in Kenya. It's a very old institution, having started in 1946 as the Kenya National Farmers Union. Of course, 1946, that is well before Kenya's independence. The foundational mandate for the organization was to be the farmer's voice, or Sauti ya Mkulima. And that is why that is our rallying call, or our motto. We are the farmer's voice. We are the Sauti ya Mkulima in this country. And by that, we do mean that we represent, we articulate, we promote, and we protect the interests of farmers in Kenya. And by farmers, we mean all farmers, from crops to livestock, to fisheries, to aquaculture, to farm forestry, to pastoralism. So anyone doing agriculture in Kenya is represented through what KENAF does. KENAF mostly works with duty bearers, of course, the national government, and now agriculture being a devolved function, we also work a lot with county governments, because county governments now have the responsibility of agricultural development in Kenya as per the Constitution of Kenya 2010. As you all know, of course, the ministry is left with policy and research, and that is why also KENAF is represented at that level, because most of the policies that are made in this country are made at the national level. Right now, KENAF has a membership of about 837,000 members, which are spread across 43 counties in Kenya. We are not in Nairobi, Mombasa, Lamu, and Wajir, but we are in all other 43 counties, and this is where all these 837,000 members are spread. This has changed from last year. In 2022, our membership was around 1.6. The number has gone down considerably because of the way we are now registering our members beginning January 2023. Before January 1st, 2023, we did not have individual membership. So that's why, maybe you could say the number was a lot higher in 2022. But beginning this year, we started registering individual members, and we are doing this so that we can have farmers really connecting with the organization, having this sense of ownership, and getting away, from what we had in the past, the group approach. So like I have said, our core mandate as a national farmers organization is lobby and advocacy. And we do this through, of course, the numbers that we have. You cannot influence anything if you don't have the numbers. And this is what we strive to have as a national farmers organization. Our goal is to have the majority of the farmers of this country becoming KENAF members, so that when we speak, we can actually be the voice of farmers, as our motto says. We can be the Sauti ya Mkulima. So when we talk about inclusivity in business, we are really talking about what KENAF does. KENAF is about inclusivity. We want everyone to be on this platform. If you're a farmer in this country, we want you to be on this platform so that your voice can be heard, both at the national level and at the county level. While, of course, we work with duty bearers, we also work with other actors, and I know there are a lot of actors in this hall today. And we work with many other actors because the interests of farmers, the rights of farmers, should be protected across the board. So if you're in business, if you're in insurance, if you're in transport, if you're in value addition, and you're dealing with farmers in one way or the other, KENAF would be there to ensure that the rights of farmers are protected, to ensure that farmers get what is rightfully theirs, And we do this because obviously KENAF is interested in enhancing the livelihoods, first the incomes of our members, and then obviously the livelihoods of farmers therein. We do believe that when farmers are empowered, when farmers have more money in their pockets, they become more empowered, they have more agency, they have the ability, they have the power to demand what rightfully belongs to them. And whatever we do at KENAF is really to think through ways of enhancing this farmers' agency. We enhance this agency through bringing the farmers together so that they speak as one, but also through enhancing farm enterprises so that farmers have more incomes. And of course, we know that when you have more income, when you're earning more money from whatever you're doing at the farm level, you have the ability to negotiate for yourself in the market. So Inclusive Business Club, what do we bring to this as the National Farmers Federation? As my friend Patrick has alluded to, the essence of this club is to bring all actors together so that they get to speak to one another, so that they get to speak about their interest at the different levels, with the aim of ensuring that each actor extracts the most value that is due to them. So at KENAF, we'll bring the voice of not only the farmers in general, but also the voice of youth through the KENAF Youth. We have a very strong youth program called the KENAF Youth Development Program. And this is an organ through which we mobilize the young farmers in this country to come together to talk about their interests, talk about their issues, challenge different actors on addressing issues that are affecting them. We'll bring KENAF Women. We also do have a strong women council, which does just the same things that the KENAF Youth Development Program does. So other than bringing, farmers in general, we have these two very strong constituencies that we think you cannot talk about agribusiness in Kenya without talking about women, because they do a lot as far as agricultural output is concerned. We also cannot talk about having sustainable agribusiness, having an agribusiness that is forward-looking if you don't talk about, excuse me, if you don't talk about the youth. So these are two constituencies we bring to this discussion. We also bring the KENAF Commodities Council. This is another strong organ at KENAF, which brings together all the commodity associations in the country. By commodity associations, I mean, the Dairy Federation of Kenya, the Cereal Growers Association, the Kenya Coffee Planters Association, these national commodity associations that are more market-facing. So this is another strong voice we do bring as the National Farmers Federation. And we do believe that when you bring women, you bring the youth, now we bring the commodity associations, and each constituency talks about what their interest is, talks about what ways in which the incomes of their members will be enhanced. They talk about sustainability. I think we'll be talking about inclusivity in the way that we're supposed to talk about it. The Inclusive Business Club that we are launching here today obviously speaks to what we do at KENAF in many ways. KENAF, like I've said, of course, we are about lobby, advocacy, and policy action. If you look at anything that KENAF does, lobby, advocacy, and policy action comes out strongly because that is what defines the organization. We talk about member services because KENAF is a membership-based organization. So what value do farmers see so that they join KENAF, so that they continue paying membership to KENAF? That is very important for us. We talk about how do we, as the National Farmers Organization, contribute to a sustainable agri-food system in Kenya. We know that this is something that a lot of people are talking. It's a debate that has taken a hold of not just Kenya, but many countries around the world, led by the United Nations. So this as transforming food systems, what do we do as the National Farmers Organization to ensure that Kenya has a sustainable, or transforms our food system in a sustainable way? Talking about business and a sustainable food systems, you could say are two sides of the same coin, because farmers should be added are in business. Farmers are entrepreneurs. And this is something that a lot of people forget, that farmers are not really victims, because a lot of times farmers are looked at as victims. Farmers are entrepreneurs, farmers are in business. And if what farmers are doing, if they're able to earn more income from what they are doing, it means that they'll continue doing it better, they'll improve their enterprises, they'll expand the scale, and by doing that, they'll contribute to a transformed and a sustainable food system in the country. We are talking about leveraging the energy of young people, the energy of women, the enthusiasm that they have, the innovativeness that they have in transforming the food system. This is something that we are talking about at KENAF in everything that we do. How do we tap in the energy that young people have? How do we tap in their creativity? How do we tap their innovativeness in order to promote a transformed food system in the country? So this is something that, of course, also connects with an inclusive business way of doing things. Because again, like I have said, if a farmer, be it a woman, be it a young person, sees value or earns more money in what they are doing, they'll look for ways of scaling that. They'll look for ways of expanding that. So this is something that we also address. We are addressing issues to do with climate, which is our pillar number 5 in our strategic plan 2022 to 2026. We do know that climate is something that we must contend with. There are a lot of people, maybe 5-6 years ago in Kenya, who would say that climate is maybe an elitist concept, is something that has no bearing on me. But over the past 4-5 years, we have noticed as Kenyans that this is for real, because we've noticed about 5-6 failed rain seasons in many parts of the country. And now a lot of people have come to believe that this is something that we have to deal with. So what are we doing about it as the Kenya National Farmers Federation? These are issues we are talking about, because unless we play our role as farmers, we contribute to climate action, we do whatever it takes to contribute in small and big ways, then whatever we do as farmers is going to be affected in great and small ways. So we are talking about climate action because we do believe as farmers that there is something we can do, be it farm forestry, be it biodiversity conservation, be it better water management systems. There is a lot that we can do as farmers, and we started doing it. And we do believe that even as we talk about this inclusive business club, we cannot divorce climate action from what we do. So this is something that will continue contributing as the National Farmers Federation and teaching, building capacities for our members to understand more the issues that have to do with climate, and to think of ways in which they can contribute to climate action. We're also looking at ways of leveraging data and innovations to contribute to what we do, to strengthen what we do. We all know, of course, that data science, innovations in ICT have become very powerful, and they can enhance whatever we do in many ways. So as the National Farmers Organization, we are also looking at this and asking ourselves, how can we leverage innovations in data, innovations in ICT to contribute to what we do? And I do believe by doing that, obviously, we are going to contribute to a better business climate in this country. Lastly, we also focus on issues to do with partnerships. And this is what has brought all of us here today. There are many partners. Patrick has mentioned quite a number. There are, of course, members, KENAF members from many, many counties across the country. We do have other partners in the room like Angritera, which is a Dutch agency. We have Solidaridad, which is also Dutch. We have GIZ, we have Kenya Climate Innovation Center, and many others. So at KENAF, obviously, we do believe, like I have said, other than working with the duty bearers, working with other partners, be they, of course, state and non-state actors, is very important, because for us to achieve what we must as the National Farmers Federation, we need all these people. So partnerships is another area that we really focus on as KENAF. So basically, those are some of the ways in which we are going to contribute to this, to ensure that we do have a climate, a business climate that brings everyone on board, that brings youth, brings women, brings men, brings vulnerable and marginalized groups into this. I've talked about our lobby and advocacy, talking with the national and the county governments. We are in CASCOMs, the County Agricultural Sector Steering Committees, in all the counties where we are represented, so that means in 43 counties. We are there, we are talking with the governors, we are talking with the CECs to ask and address issues that affect our members and farmers in those counties. Of course, at the ministerial level here in Nairobi, we're different committees, task forces, and many other forums that really have a bearing on farmers. Now, moving ahead, let me talk briefly about how we leverage our numbers. Like I said, we are now at 837,000 members across the country, spread in 43 counties. For us to be the Sauti ya Mkulima, or the farmer's voice in this country, obviously numbers are important, but also other things, other factors like partnerships are also important. So in whatever we are doing as KENAF, we not only need our members, we also need you as our partners in different, at different levels, the national level and at the county level. We do believe that working through our partners, we can achieve a lot more. And this is something that KENAF takes pride in. It will continue, obviously, engaging you, even as we continue thinking through how do we domesticate, how do we institutionalize this inclusive business club so that it becomes an institution, it becomes an organ through which we can be coming together either on a quarterly basis, biannual basis, or an annual basis going forward to talk about how do we enhance business, agribusiness, in a way that adds value to the different actors and in a way that contributes to the country's development agenda. If you look at the regional level, KENAF is a member of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO, and that means that we represent the voice of Kenyan farmers at the continental level. And then at the global level, KENAF is a member of the World Farmers Organization, which brings together all national farmers organizations around the world. KENAF is a strong member there, representing again, of course, farmers, the voice of farmers from Kenya. Again, at the international level, we are a member of the International Land Coalition, which looks at land as a factor of production. Obviously, you cannot talk about farmers and not talk about land, so KENAF is a member of the International Land Coalition. We're also a member of the Global Alliance, Global Forum on Agricultural Research, which mostly looks at applying research, because a lot of times when you talk about research, is a lot of farmers will not be able to connect with research because it is maybe high-minded, it is done by the elites, but GFAR looks at applying research, and KENAF is, of course, very interested in applying research because that is what matters the most to our members. So that is what we are, the global level. These are the memberships that we have. So you can see from the county level where I'm saying, KENAF is a member of the CASCOMs, To the national level, of course, working with the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. We are in the JASCOM, which is, of course, the organ that coordinates agricultural issues between the national government and the county government. At the regional level, KENAF is a member of PAFO. And then at the global level, we have membership with the WFO, World Farmers Organization, International Land Coalition, and the Global Forum on Agricultural Research, among many others. And through these organs, we are able to bring the voice of Kenyan farmers to different forums at the global level. So how does KENAF, of course, moving forward, how do we continue supporting the Inclusive Business Club? I'll circle back to where I started by saying that we have a very strong KENAF youth. We do have a very strong KENAF women and a very strong KENAF Commodities Council. These are very important organs at KENAF. Like I said, the youth talk about issues that are affecting them. And of course, Inclusive Business Club is talking about agribusiness. They bring all the actors together so that they talk about their issues. We shall be able to bring the voice of the youth who are interested in agriculture, either at the production level, at value addition level, at whatever level, through the KENAF Youth Development Program. Through the KENAF Women, we'll be able to bring the voice of farmers, women farmers in this country. As we know, most of the agricultural output in this country is carried by women. And through the KENAF Women, we'll be able to bring the voice of all the women members in this country. And I should add that of the 807,000 members, about 60% of those are women. So we'll be able to bring the voice of those women to this club. We'll be able to ensure that the business aspects of these KENAF women are brought to bear into the IBC. We'll be able to bring the KENAF Commodities Council. And the KENAF Commodities Council is very important because they are market facing. Most of our commodity associations are not mostly on lobby and advocacy the way KENAF is, but they are mostly looking at markets. So if it is Kenya Coffee Producers Association, they are looking at how do we improve the markets for our members. If it is Kenya Dairy Federation, they are looking at how do we get better market conditions for our members. So by bringing these three organs to the IBC, I do believe that KENAF is going to contribute in a great way to the institutionalization of the Inclusive Business Club, to the to domesticating it so that it becomes something that we are talking about, something that can be bringing these actors together, something that can be recognized even by the government, both at the national level and at the county level. It becomes a forum that even maybe in a year or so, maybe a year, 2 years, could be registered. It becomes a powerful voice through which actors in agribusiness can be coming together to talk about issues that enhance value for different actors. And of course, in doing this, we are going to rely on you, the different actors in this room today. I've found there are different actors that are working with two scale, from dairy to NAS to cereals, the different KENAF members from different counties, and all our other partners. We are going to need you to strengthen this Inclusive Business Club so that as we, maybe in 2 or 3 years, we can be talking about it as a very powerful business lobby in this country that brings all the actors together, that enhances Kenya's development agenda. Of course, we know that the current government is talking about bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And if you think about it critically, really, what we envisage with IBC is not different from what is envisaged by the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, in the sense of bringing together cooperatives that can become SMEs in the long run. So what we are doing really through IBC is in many ways supporting the government's